Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of The Guiding Light. This is episode number 5 and today we're joined by Perry from 21 Up. So how you doing, Perry? Nice to meet you, mate.
I'm doing good, thank you.
He's doing good at the moment, people. And Benny boy, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks Chris, and it's good to be here and good to see you, Perry, and I'm looking forward to your story.
Yeah, it is really good. And I do know a little bit about you, Perry. We actually come from the same area, funny enough, which we've only found out kind of today that we live as close as we do. But because of that, I know about various things that you've done and, you know, a little bit about why you set 21 up and other bits and bobs. But hey, that's enough from me. What about you tell us a little bit about life, I suppose, Perry's life, early life, and how we got to where you're at? Me and Ben will just jump in and have a chat as and when we might want to.
So, from the start.
From wherever you like.
Started born in Newham General. I was living in Plaistow. My mum was an alcoholic because a lot of my family and a lot of friendship circles, etc., they was all alcoholics. It's like what you were saying earlier. When you're only as good as the company you keep, and if you're around certain people with a certain mindset, that's kind of your path, you know? And I ended up going into foster care because I lived in, where was it, in Plaistow, Nichols Point. It was big. There was 3 blocks of flats. I remember there was a blue one, a brown one, and a yellow one. Yeah, right near West Ham Park. Yeah. And I lived in the blue one, and I'll never forget. Still to this day, I remember it as clear as day when social services come, and I will still say it till the day I die. They kidnapped me. That's what it felt like. I was 4 years old, and they grabbed me and they put me in the back of their car. And I remember they drove. The woman was in the back with me, and the man was in the front. And I remember driving away, and I remember looking out of the window, screaming of the car. And I remember seeing the blue block of flats getting further and further away. Never ever went back to that block. But I was in foster care system for 3 years. So I came back. So that. Big shout out to my mum, because it's hard to have an addiction and then just cut it all off, cut all of your ties with all of the negative people in your life, and then do something for the better, you know, to get me back, because they decided, we're going to let you go home for a day. Then eventually it was, we're going to let you go home for the weekend. And we had to move. In order for me to come home, we had to move out of London. So we moved to Brentwood. Predominantly white area. When I moved there, like still to this day, there's a picture of me and all of my class photos in primary school, and I'm the only black person in the class. But it is what it is, you know. So I dealt with a lot of racism through my childhood, but like silly racism. I was getting called names that didn't even relate to my culture. Do you get where I'm coming from? But it's just like kids. Do you get where I'm coming from? Kids don't know any different. So I grew up around a lot of domestic violence, and that was tough, but it was normal. You know, when you grow up around something, you don't know any different. So that was normal. My cousins grew up around domestic violence, so I was growing up around domestic violence. So when I explained some certain things to people were like, "No way, really?" Like, I'm thinking, "Look, I'm shocked." Do you get where I'm going from? And then I had 2 little brothers, and what happened was, one of my little brothers, when my other little brother was born, he was 3 weeks old, and the whole sibling rivalry with children, like toddlers. I think he was about 22 months old. He pushed him off the bed, yeah, and my 3-week-old brother banged his head, yeah, and we had to take him to hospital, etc. I remember coming out of school, having to go straight to the hospital. Went to the hospital, and I remember this again. It was like reliving my childhood again, like as a kid. Because these 2 people come in, and they were social services, and they come to take us away, and it was so destroying. And I remember my mum breaking down, and I was thinking, what's going on? And I remember I had to stay at a different location to my little brothers, and then the next day, I remember speaking to them on the phone, and then the next day I went to stay with them. But I went into foster care for only a month. I was having to get, this was when I was 12. And I was having to get taxis to school. Yeah, and it was uncomfortable because I always get on edge sometimes, and I think, oh, what does this person think? Oh, what if someone says, "Why are you getting in? Why are you getting in taxis? Like you're walking distance from the school." So like, I voluntarily came home from foster care when I was 12. I remember it's crazy because one of my good friends at the time, when I was in year 8, he was allowed to stay at my foster carer's house. He'd come stay around, whatnot, because we were going out for dinner. And she was like, "Oh, my foster carer said you could bring a friend." I was like, wicked. So then my foster carer came to pick up my friend. And then my friend goes to me, "Don't worry, Bill." He goes, "I'll tell everyone that it was my granddad because it's a white man with grey hair." They're definitely not related to me. But yeah, it was, and I remember it was crazy because I was in a loft bedroom. And like, that time was difficult because I was 12. And then, so for 3 years, we was going every week to visit my little brothers. And I was just a problem child because of the simple fact I had no control over the situation. I was just stuck in the situation. Do you get what I'm coming? And then from 15, so when I reached 15, I was told that they were to be adopted. That broke me. By the time I was 18, I was in and out of trouble badly. My teachers would just say I'm a problem. They just completely washed their hands of me. Like, there's a few teachers that kind of understood. It's one of those situations where I was in and out of trouble with the police. I was having like counselling from the age of about 7 or 8. So it was just like, it was tough, you know, like I didn't know how to process my emotions. When I was 18, they found adoptive parents, etc. I went into, and then I saw them two or three more times once they'd been adopted. And I remember the last time I saw them, I think it was about the next week after that, I went to prison. And then I was in prison for, it was only for ABH. I committed the offence when I was 18. And I was on bail for about 13 months, and I completely changed my life. And I was doing really well in college, and I thought, right, if I go into court with really good things to say, like maybe they'll give me the benefit of the doubt. They didn't. They sent me to prison. But then when I came out of prison now, I said, when are we going to see Anthony and Joseph? Shout out to my little brothers, by the way, like whatever they're doing now, 21 and 19. And I haven't seen them since I was 19. Yeah, I haven't seen them since I was 19, so that's tough. That broke me. And my mum said to me, "Oh, we're not allowed to see them no more." So I'd just come out of jail, and now I'm getting told I'm not going to see my little brothers no more. That in itself threw me off the rails again. I'm drinking. I'm trying to just drown away my emotions with alcohol. 3 weeks into my license, I was arrested again for something really stupid. Somehow, I managed to get bail. Yeah, but it was conditional bail. I was on bail for about 4 months. I wasn't allowed to go to certain areas. I had to stay on the tag, 7 till 7 tag. So I figured, how am I going to get off this tag? So what I did is I got a job. Yeah, I got a job. Yeah, but it had a shift pattern from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and then from 2 in the afternoon until 10 at night. And then I called up the police station. I was having to report to the police station every day. So I've told the tag people, I was like, look, I've got a job. So I'm doing really well. I'm trying. I was like, is there any chance you can change my tag time so I can do this job? They're like, what time do you need it to? I was like, well, these are my hours. And they're, all right, cool. So then my tag time changed from 12 at night to 5 in the morning. I mean, don't know if that makes any sense, right?
No, that's good going, mate. Well done.
It was lucky. But then I ended up getting a suspended sentence for that charge. So I was lucky. And then I ended up breaching it and then getting sent to prison again. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I was just angry constantly. I was just, throughout my childhood, it gave me so many reasons to be annoyed. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And then, so after that prison sentence, I'll never forget, I came out of prison. And the very first night I came out of prison, I went to West End with my friend to celebrate my release, etc. We got in a big fight, 2 of us, with about 10 guys, and it was just crazy. We were swinging belts around in the middle of the road, in the middle of the West End. And I spent my first night out of prison in a police cell in West London. There was nothing. Nothing was going to change the way I was. But then the friend I was referring to that came to my foster carers and stayed the night, he knew everything about me. He knew why I would behave the way I was, because he got it. Because he's like, we used to take my little brothers out and stuff. Well, I took him around his house and whatnot. So then when they kind of went, he understood, and no other friend that I had understood that. But then I started to drift away from all my friends because of my mentality and the way I was very troublesome. So no one really wanted to be around me because I'd be the one that gets us in fights or gets us arrested. I was that kind of kid, the kind of kid parents would warn their children away from. And then my friend died in a car accident at 21. And I'll never forget, because I saw his mum the next day and she said to me, she goes, you need to stop getting in trouble. You need to stop getting in trouble for my Bob. He always knew you was a good guy and he always thought that wanted the best for you, etc. That's what you got to do. You got to stop getting in trouble for him. I was getting in trouble. I was getting arrested multiple times a month. It was just normal. And once that day came and that happened, it hit me so deep that I just stopped. Just like that. Never again have I been arrested since that day. And you know when people say there's a click, there's a turning point. When that happens. And then a year after that, I had my first son and I named him after my friend. I named him Bobby. And then a year after that, I had my other son, named him Trey. A few months after that, I had to take my first baby mum to court for full custody of my son. Got full custody of my son, had to resign from my job and then become a single parent. I had no idea how to be a single parent. I've had to get a support worker and I've had to ask my support worker to help me do courses, like parenting courses. So I did 3 parenting courses, so I kind of knew what I was doing. You got to do what you got to do, right?
You totally do, mate. You totally do. And can I just jump in there, because you've said an awful lot of amazing stuff. No, but what I mean is that there is so much stuff to pick up on, because that is so honest and so just so deep, really. And the thing that hits me first of all was you talking about that kind of normal way of life for you, the domestic abuse, the being taken away from your mum and then coming back and taken away again. It all became so normal. And then that, you know, then there was, I mean, your brothers going, I can see how much that is affecting you now. Rightly so. I mean, they're your brothers, man, aren't they? That's got to be so hard. But then you've managed to do something about it. And that thing about your friend's mum saying, now's the time, and that was the time it's hit you. But you've had so much trauma. That's what I guess I'm getting at. You've had so much in your life, and a lot of people, I guess, can then go down certain roads and stuff. You know, I've been down certain roads because of my difficulties, and mine didn't end up in going to prison and stuff, but mine was all around alcohol. It was all around pretending to be all right, but actually on the inside dying and drinking too much. And you've mentioned drinking. It was about me then not being able to deal with my emotions. You've spoken about not being able to deal with your emotions. And I just think it's incredible, really, that you're sitting next to us today where you're at. And the kids thing, I love the fact you've kind of got to a bit now where it looks like things are going to turn a little, but you've gone and done some courses. And I love that, because, I mean, I'm a parent and I'm learning every day. We all learn every day. But you know, I had an upbringing where I guess I could learn from my parents in a certain way, whereas yours was back and forwards, and you also had the foster parents, which was great, and your mate had that sense of humour around, you know, this is I'll say it's my granddad and that. Yeah. But like, how do you deal with that trauma? Obviously you found it very hard, but I guess what I should say, how did you get to a place where that trauma which you had, which was making you behave in a certain way, and now you're behaving differently? What's the difference? How do you manage some of that stuff now? What's changed?
I'll be honest, when Bob died, like we drifted. Yeah, I drifted from a lot of the friends that I had growing up. I get that, you know, but then I always had that kind of bond with him where he knew things about me that no one else did. So I'd lost my little brothers to adoption, and I was no longer allowed to see them. And then Bob died. And like, that's that part of my history. I've got no one to share those memories with now. Do you get where I'm coming from? And like, when he died, like, I thought to myself, he was 10 times the man I was. Why am I still here? Why do I deserve to be here? Why didn't I die and he's still here? Do you know where I'm coming from? And I was struggling to understand that. So I thought, for him, I need to fix up, you know? And then it's one of those situations where, so from becoming a single parent, as soon as my son got of an age where I could go back to work, I went straight back to work. And it was one of those situations where I was doing the whole breakfast club and after school club and then having to do school runs. And obviously I'm epileptic, so I was never allowed to drive. Anyone from my area who sees this podcast, will know, I'm that guy you always see on a push bike. I'm talking, I'd have one of my sons on the front handlebars. I'd have my other son on the back seat. I'd have a week's worth of shopping riding uphill. But it's one of those situations where you got to do what you got to do. You can't let situations become better than you, you know? And I would spend a lot of my time in the graveyard. That was where I found my peace, where I could talk about my future, talk about things that were bothering me, and like be open and honest. You know, I done so much research through that time. I was a single parent and that working. I done so much research on like the human mind and the psychology behind it, like to understand human behavior. Because I wanted to understand why I couldn't control my emotions. I wanted to understand. I thought if I can understand myself, then I can understand other people. You know. So then, I didn't know why I was doing so much research. I never knew, but I just felt it was therapeutic. And it got to a point where I started hating my job badly. I was in construction. I hated it with passion. Money was good, don't get me wrong, and I took my sons on loads of holidays, etc. I always wanted to be a youth worker. When I told you I was on a conditional bail, I'd done voluntary youth work, and I was really good at it. Kids would be having, so I was 21? No, I was 20. Kids would be having tantrums in class, throwing chairs. The volunteers there was all like intimidated. And I said to the guy who run the program, I said, let me go outside and talk to him. And he's like, oh, no, you sure? And I'm thinking, yeah, just let me go out and talk to him. He's like, all right, only if you're sure, because like he's a bit fiery, you know. Like, and I could tell that the other volunteers were intimidated. So I've gone outside, I'm talking to him. I said, listen, I get it. I said, I know you feel. I said, one time, I was in school. I said, I punched that wall so hard when I got kicked out of class. I said that my fist went straight through the dry wall and through the other side into my class. So when I pulled my fist out, I was looking through the hole. Where it come from? So I said, I get it. But I said, right now you look stupid. I said, because now you've had a hissy fit. I said, and you've got to eventually go back in that class. I said, the best thing you can do right now is take it on the chin. I said, go in there, apologise to the people that you've been rude to. I said, and that makes you more of a man. And he was 14 years old and he goes, I'm going to look like an idiot. I was like, no, you won't. I said, trust me. Take it from someone who's been exactly where you are and struggles to deal with their emotions. And he went back in the class. He apologised to the volunteers. And the guy said, what did you say to him? You know?
I think that's really important, what you just said there, because like, there's quite a lot of misconception in the world of why someone does something.
100%.
You know, and you're very relatable, and that's what I see that moment as. You're relatable because you can talk about your lived experience. I get it. You know, quite a lot in my childhood, no one said to me, I get it. Everyone said, I'm a problem. He's difficult. He's hard work. He doesn't want to be here. Actually, if I'd have met that guy like you that said, I understand, you know, so it's really powerful. And, you know, from what you, that comment alone is really powerful, because sometimes it just needs someone to say, I'm okay, or talk to me. Let me understand.
100%.
You know, but I wanted to tap into some stuff there. So I lost a couple of friends in car accidents, and shout out to Georgia on the A13, you know, and but I went a different way. What I done is, you know, I used drugs and drink on that for nearly a decade. You know, so it's like I can really get that emotion, and I think it's really important around, you know, can you talk about maybe the trauma, because I think there's some trauma there that maybe has not really been explained, and how you process that trauma to get to where you are today, because you've done a lot of work on yourself to get to that guy going, I understand, talk to me.
So like, I've done a lot of research into mental health and why I behaved a certain type of way. I feel like if I can help a young person understand themselves and their emotions, they can then subconsciously understand other people's emotions. Because if they know what triggers them, when they see someone else getting triggered, they can then start to think, oh, maybe it's because of this, or maybe it's because of that. You got to first understand yourself before you can understand others. And when you can understand yourself and you can understand others, taking them two statements into consideration, you can then start to make better decisions. Do you get where I'm coming from? It took me a long time to get to that point. Like, I was suffering with depression. I tried to commit suicide. I had a suicide attempt when I was 19. And it's mad because the kind of suicide attempt it wasn't like cutting my wrist or trying to like overdose. It was a spur of the moment thing. It's something just got too much for me to deal with. It's just alcohol ain't doing it. So what I did is I took a carving knife and I tried to cut my arm off. Yeah, and stitching my arm back together took about 278 internal stitches to put my arm back together. Like literally from there to there. Then I went to prison, and I made sure when I went to prison I had an armband because I didn't want to give people a reason to trigger me because I didn't want to go there again and be fighting all the time. Do you know where I'm coming from? I developed mental health issues from all of that stuff. Depression, bipolar, traits of borderline personality disorder. Let me be honest, I'm nervous talking about all this stuff because of the simple fact that I've never been so open and honest, but the reason I'm trying to be so open and honest because of the simple fact I know there are people out there that are still at that phase where they can't be open and honest with themselves, and I want my story to help empower other people to think, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it. Now, sometimes you need to see somebody do something and achieve something to know it's possible. Seeing is believing, you know?
Yeah, man.
I want to be the role model that I never had as a young person. I want to be the role model that understands all of the misunderstood young people. So
I fully get it, man. This is so good. Like, and you said something earlier about like being the child that the parents didn't want their kids to come play with. Now you're the guy that the parents want their kids to go and see because you're that beacon of hope. You're the guy who's been through stuff, and actually now you're helping others and talking openly and honestly about this stuff, just like me and Ben do. Because, you know, we've had all of our challenges as well. You know, I've spoken about my alcohol addiction, my gambling addiction, my ADHD that I found out about a couple of years ago, and all that stuff which has made me the person who I am today, which is amazing because while I'm sitting here, there have been so many challenges. Ben's had all his challenges, you've had yours, but we have these conversations and people can hear about it. And there's all this stigma out there, but it's all misconception. People don't really know what it's like to be us. And that's why we've got to share it, because then it's like, oh, hold on a minute. Makes sense now. Any of us can have this, and actually not only can we have it, we can learn from each other, help each other, become more inclusive, and all move forward and have wicked lives, you know.
I think, look, I appreciate you opening up because some of this stuff's tough, but yeah, I'll just echo what Chris said, you know, like it can help people out there. I felt I couldn't open up for many years because of the judgment and stigma.
100%.
I didn't want to be judged because all my life, the truth is, from that young kid like you know, you've been through a lot. I just wanted unconditional love. Like, that's the truth. And I always felt if I opened up, it's really weird the way the brain works. I always felt if I opened up, I wouldn't get unconditional love. But the day I opened up, I received that unconditional love that I waited 3 decades for. Like, that's reality for me. You know, the love I've got today in my life from opening up, from fellowship, from my friends, from people that, you know, understand autism and ADHD, and like, it's okay, you know. So it's really important what you said there. It is hard to open up, but people, for anyone that's out there that wants to, you know, my advice is just one friend. Just start with one friend. Can you open up to just one friend? One, as soon as I've done that, I felt a bit lighter. 2, when they didn't judge me, I got more confident, and then what I've done is I could share with more people, and over a period of time I've been able to share with my close support network first of all, and now the wider community. So
what I like as well, mate, if you don't mind me jumping in quickly, is like, so, you know, I grew up with a really loving family and stuff, but I still couldn't talk about my emotions. That was the other thing. I really couldn't. And what I really like about this, and yourself especially, mate, is that you give people that option, young people that option, who maybe want to talk to their parents but find that a bit hard, somewhere else to go, somewhere else to talk to, and somebody who they know is going to relate. And that's beautiful, because that can open up that path to them then talking to family, talking to parents, talking to new friends, meeting new friends through 21 up, which we'll obviously come on to in a second.
What I think would be really key with that is, what do you think it would have done for you if someone would have done that for you at that age?
It'd been a godsend. I mean, it's all well and good coming from a teacher. Oh, you got so much potential, pal. You're authority. I don't like authority. I don't like police. I don't like social services. I don't like teachers. Anybody that can tell me, you should do this and you should do that, don't talk to me. Do you know, that was my attitude. That was my mentality. You know? Like, you don't get it. You ain't been through what I've been through. Like, how dare you come and sit there and say, oh, yeah, but you shouldn't behave like this and you shouldn't behave like that. You can't judge my choices when you didn't know my options. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And I feel that that's powerful. So to give that to young people to understand, to show them, I get it, I understand, but there's a better way of dealing with these emotions. Like, with the whole 21 up thing, like, do you want me to get onto that?
Yeah, go for it, man, go for it.
So I wanted to start a brand. I needed a logo. So again, I was in the graveyard, chatting away. Probably look crazy. I was sitting there. I used to sit there for hours, and I was sitting there talking. I was like, "What could I have as my logo?" Sitting there, and my friend Bob's grave is a roulette wheel, and the little ball is on 21, and he died at 21. My life changed at 21. He's up in heaven now, 21 up, and the star behind the 21 up was from a conversation I had with Joe, who committed suicide. And a conversation I had with him is, we all got tattoos, and I had a tattoo, and instead of having prayer hands with rosary beads, I had prayer hands with a Black Wall Street medallion that Bob got off the game, who was his favourite rapper.
Yeah, man.
So then when I got that tattoo, Joe said, "Oh, that's a sick idea." Like, and so he got a red star, and obviously he's up in heaven as well. You know, so I had a red star. So I thought, through my logo is how I'm gonna let their names live on. You know, and that was the ethos behind the logo. But I wasn't passionate about starting a brand. Starting a brand didn't bother me. It wasn't compelling enough to make me be motivated to keep pushing. I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do music. I'm passionate about my music. Started releasing music videos. I've done a music video on mental health called Facing Demons. And my music name is Phobe Fully, FOEBT, which stands for Fatherhood Over Everything, Bobby Trace. That's an acronym. And the reason I called it Facing Demons was because after Joe passed away, I wanted to face my demons publicly to give other strugglers the strength to face their demons in private. Do you know where I'm coming from? And even music, I wasn't passionate about it enough to. I've done so much research on the psychology behind human. Like, I love Tony Robbins because he come up with the 6 human needs, and I live by those 6 human needs, and I understand it. I could pinpoint people's behavior and know exactly what human need they're relating to. Like the need for certainty, the need for uncertainty and variety, the need to feel significant, the need to feel, the need to contribute, the need for growth, and the need for connection and love. So now I understand abusive relationships now. So that trauma, I can kind of understand it, because sometimes people in abusive relationship, they know there's no love in there no more, but it's just that connection. Some people don't want to be on their own. Do you get it? I get it. You know, when people say a bully in school is a bullied child somewhere else. And when somebody, I don't know, whether it's at home, whether it's a big brother, whether it's a parent, when they make you feel insignificant, you feel the need to come to school to regain that significance, you know? So I understand all of these behaviours. I'm sitting there again at the graveyard saying, I want to be a youth worker. That's where my passion is. I want to help misunderstood teenagers like me. That's what I'm passionate about. But I don't want to do it as a volunteer. I want to do it as my whole full-time job. that's what I love doing. And as the famous saying goes, passion in the job puts excellence in the work, you know? And if you're passionate about the work you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. So I figured, all right, cool, I'm going to change my CV. I'm going to start applying for youth work jobs. So that's what I started doing. And I thought to myself, right, I'm going to start an organisation called 21 Up Movement, and I'm going to get a job in the youth work industry so I can work with young people, get a feel for what the industry's like. I can't just jump from construction straight to youth work. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm used to wearing a hard hat and boots. Do you get what I'm coming from? So like, I was having interviews on my lunch break via Zoom.
Yeah.
And then, because of my criminal record, I was getting DBS checked, and I was getting told, we can't hire you.
Yeah.
Schools said no. Independent living accommodations, they said no. Councils said no. Organisations said no. We can't take a risk on you, Perry. Sorry, Perry. Like you fit the criteria perfectly, but you've got violence on your record, so we can't. I'm thinking in my head, I used to go back to the graveyard like, yo, give me a break. I'm trying, you know? And then I thought, after the next refusal I got, the next rejection I got, I thought, you know what? I've had enough. I was walking around site. I was thinking, I've had enough. I'm going to do it on my own. So I'm going to do it on my own. Then people will realise how passionate I am about making a difference in today's youth. Today's youth, they're so misunderstood, and they're going through so much emotional trauma, and they're becoming so violent, where they're just killing each other. And the amount of young people in young offenders that are on murder charges, that are in there getting therapy and they're crying their eyes out, I didn't mean to do it, the road got into me too much, you know? I was too drawn in. So like, how many young people do you know that are living past 21? You know? So I thought my main priority is gonna help young people to live past 21. And I thought, I don't care if nobody supports me. I'm going to support me. I'm going to be that beacon of hope. I'm going to be the one, that says to all of them, don't worry, I got you. Let's win together. I don't want to win on my own and be a music artist or be a brand owner. I couldn't even get funding because I was on my own. So I figured, okay, cool. I'm going to use my brand idea, and I'm going to use my passion for music, and I'm going to start a brand. I'm going to use the funds from the merch sales to then put into my own programs and projects and fund it all myself. So I funded a music program. I made a song called Choices, which was released on GRM Daily. And big shout out to Usman, one of my directors. He started off as my first ambassador. Then I recruited more ambassadors. So then he became my lead ambassador. Then to a point where he was putting in so much work that I made him a director of my organisation. So it's just like, you can tell me no. You can deny me a seat at the table. I'll build my own table. You know, people are always going to tell you no. You're not welcome here. I just had to feel in myself that just because you told me no doesn't mean I'm not going to keep pushing and trying, you know?
And it makes sense because, like you said, you wanted to get the job. You had the passion. You've been. I need to come to this graveyard with you, mate. Like, you are getting a lot of good advice there. So I'm on my way next time, definitely. But like the DBS checks, like, sorry, we can't have you because of that. We can't have you because you haven't got this bit of paper. I get all that. Put some kind of safeguarding around it or something. What you need is a guy who's been through it to work with these people, and that's what you realised. You knew it. The kids would have all known it. They just said, "Yeah, we'll have this lad," but it couldn't happen. But you've gone and done it yourself. And what I love is you have learned so much. You've gone out there. So different people, work with their mental health in different ways, recover from difficult things in different ways. And you went there and learned. You learned stuff. And you didn't just learn. You then learned and went, I'm going to do stuff and I'm going to make things happen. And that in itself just gives a great message to anyone who comes along to see you, anyone who gets involved. And that beautiful thing you were talking about, like, is your ambassador and now he's your director. You brought in more ambassadors. It's growing the movement, and that's what's lovely.
I think two things really stick out for me is the resilience. It doesn't matter what people say no, and you raised a really valid point there. Find something what you like and don't work a day in your life, because that's so powerful, because that gives you fulfillment. And two, like the 21 and up, and I'd go as far to say that 21 and up isn't just about living in life, like they just get shot dead for argument's sake or whatever. It's how many people after 21 are living because they've got good mental health, actually. and they're not living in captivity. So my story is, up until 33, I weren't living because I was in captivity in here. Mm-hmm. So I didn't ever have fulfillment. I just, I struggled, and I didn't. I was existing. You raise a really another valid point around people like getting roped into it. Like, so one of my best pals is his brother's doing a murder stretch. Yeah, and I see him and he was involved. He's saying he shouldn't have, and he ain't a bad guy. But they were in the system, and that's all they ever knew, and they went into that life, and he didn't know a way out, and he got involved in stuff he shouldn't have, and at the end of the day, it became a choice. At that moment when he done what he done, it was him dying or them, and and every human's gonna try and pick theirself, right? So he done what he done, but now he's serving, and he's on the phone. He shouldn't be in jail. He ain't. Do you know what I mean? Like I look at him, and he's not right for jail. Because I know him, but he did do that crime, so he needs to be there. Do you know? It's a really tough thing what you said there, because there's so many people like that.
Sorry, man, for jumping in. It's one choice, isn't it, in one moment, and whether it's in that kind of situation or another, that can change everything. And I guess that's one of the things that I guess you do with the youngsters who see you, is letting them know, there are other choices, there are different ways, and if you understand your emotions, there are different ways of doing things, and maybe that is, I don't know, coming along and making music with you, or doing I know you do podcasts and stuff now as well, don't you? Like, things have evolved even more, so. I
think what would be good is if we can go into like some of the activities you do, because I'm really interested in, like, you've helped so many people and you're out there. That's like amazing, and the backstory's like full credit for you, man. Like, I know how hard it is to get rejected at stuff. Like, just to pick yourself up is a challenge. So like, massive pat on the back. But I'm like, be interested in like some of the stuff you've done. I think that's really important.
It's like, it started with music. So I fully funded 6 months in the studio, 3 to 6 hours sessions on a weekly basis for 6 months. And that was all through selling snapbacks. And then I'd have young people come to the studio and they'd be like, oh, I shanked this one, chefed up this one, da-da-da-da-da. You got down by this one, you got put in a riz. And I'd be thinking, why do you talk like that? Like, why do you come to the studio? I'd leave it a few sessions. Like, I wouldn't just tell someone how to live their life or to speak their lyrics, etc. So I'd build rapport with them first. I was so passionate about being a mentor. I just never given the opportunity to be a mentor. So I thought, I'm going to gather my own young people. If you ain't going to give me referrals, I'll find my own referrals. I used to, once I'd done that song Choices, I'd go to different areas, different estates with a speaker, and snapbacks. And I would sell hats, and I would perform Choices, and I would just, you're welcome to come studio free of charge. And people just started coming. Studio started 2, 3, 4 people, By the last session, there was 20 artists in the studio. There was so many. Studio was flooded. My sound engineer said to me, Pete, look, man, this is not effective. Like, I was like, it's a vibe though, right? I was like, I've just created my own youth club, So I said, it's happening. Because I told him, I said from the jump, I said, listen, this is my plan. I was like, I'm gonna bring kids here free of charge. And he's just like, yeah. Like, it's all in my documentary. So I've just released the documentary, The Come Up. 21 Up Movement, The Come Up. So it's like, it started with music. Then I invested in photography equipment. So then it was photography. Then it was videography. Then I wanted to start doing podcasts. Someone said, oh, can we do a podcast? And in my head, I had no idea how to do a podcast. I had no idea with sound engineering. No, because we used to hire photographers. So I'd use my budget to hire photographers or hire videographers. So I thought, you know what, let me use the budget and invest in a camera. So then we can learn and do our own thing. We can learn together. Do you know where I'm coming from? Gives us an activity.
More learning again. More learning.
Gives us a little program to put together. Me and my selected referrals. Do you know where I'm coming from? And then before you know it, I've invested in loads of sound engineering equipment. And I knew a sound engineer, Stuart Pink, from a radio station. He helped us do our first podcast. And I said, listen, Stuart, what equipment do I need? And then he gave me a list of all the equipment I needed. And I bought it all. And I said, look, I'll be honest, I have no idea how to use none of this. A big 7-channel mixing desk and all these different microphones. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, can you help me understand it? He's like, yeah. He goes, do you want me to come around yours? Because I have my son. So So he come round mine, and we've set it all up. And then he's like, this wire goes here, and this connects to that, and this connects to that, and this is how you use this. So he basically gave me a 2-3 hour crash course. And then straight off the back of that, I found a venue with a calf. And then the guy said to me, he goes, listen, after 5 o'clock, whenever you want to use it, you bring as many people as you want. I'm like, wicked. I told all my young people, I said, who wants to do a podcast? And we've gone there, set up all the equipment. And then, it was a podcast program. Do you get where I'm coming from?
It's amazing.
From that to videography, sound engineering, then we started doing events. So I was nervous to do an event on my own. So then I found other organisations that also wanted to grow and also wanted to do events. So then I collaborated with them. And then before you know it, we had our first event. There was 20 people. Second event, 50 people. Next event after that, 70, 80 people. And then an event after that, there was about 200 people there. Do you know where I'm coming from? So it was just like, and then I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to do an event on my own. So I done a fundraiser. And it was crazy because the first time we did it, there was about 50 people and there was 65 capacity at the restaurant. And then the second time I done it, I had to ring the guy. He said it was the best event he's had in 4 years. And he goes, it was better than a wedding reception because of the energy and the young people sharing their story and the impact that 21 Up movements had on their lives. I've had young people with their own mental health issues. I'm sorry, I'm like proud, you know.
No, you go, man. You should be proud.
Literally, yeah. I've had young people standing on stages in suits at black tie events, yeah, doing their own public speaking, their own speeches that they've come up with themselves, and they're standing in front of 100 people, you know. And I wanted to give them that opportunity because I know how much of an impact that had on me when I done my first public speaking appearance, you know, and like the nerves and overcoming those nerves. And I was like, look, I know how you feel. I had the same feelings, but I said, your comfort zone. I said, nothing grows there. I said, if you really want to grow, step out your comfort zone. They're like, oh, you sure? I'm like, trust me. Yeah, and they do it, yeah. And they're like, oh, pal, they're like, the energy's just there, you know. And they just...
I think you've, like, man, you shared some powerful stuff there. The first bit, like, the 20 people, like, in that studio. Like, I've been in studios, like, and, like, not with 20, maybe 6. And the buzz you get just from them 4 or 5 different artists, yeah, like bouncing songs off each other or lyrics, yeah, like is powerful. Like the buzz you get, man. It's like everyone's on it, like chipping away, like, and then someone will stop, someone will start, and that buzz, right? So straight away, like you mentioned something about the 6 points of life, that's connection there, right there. They got, you know, and the question I ask myself, maybe you'll give me the answer, is would those people have associated themselves outside of there before that movement?
And the honest answer to that is no.
There we are, man.
I had young people as far as Peckham, yeah, all the way to Ipswich, yeah, and everywhere in between that you can think of, all coming to Romford to the studio. They're travelling to the studio just to get involved in 21 Up studio sessions. I had young people collaborating with people from different areas that they would have never even known. And then another thing that made me feel proud was I'd mentor the older ones, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to change one, I'm going to change another, and I'm going to sit back and watch them change each other.
There we go.
And once I started to see that happening, I saw the older ones in their late teens start to mentor the ones in their mid-teens, and mid-teens I saw starting to mentor the ones that were a lot younger, and I was thinking, yeah, it's happening.
It's so incredible, man. So incredible, because they're building confidence, they're building ability to communicate together. They're working out how to become friends as well, but they're also working out how to live in a more grown-up world when they get there. You know, they're getting these skills to work, get jobs and stuff, as well as have fun. It's amazing.
It really is amazing, and like without knowing it, that coaching others, it's a real like unlost skill in this country, I believe. When no one wants to train, they see knowledge as power and they don't train, and you've built a training mentality, right? And I buy into that because someone's got something I want and they're willing to share it with me, I'm going to spend time with them because I want what I got, and the only way I'm going to get what I got is listen, right? You know, and the only way I can pass that on to someone else is if I've got it. You know, so you met, like, it's really powerful, man. I got emotional when you were saying that, like, you know, and the events things, like, started off with 20 people, like, let's just cut it, like 20 people, you know, that was probably a moment where you might have felt a bit, only 20 will turn up, but then you're getting 200 on your own in a very short space of time, you know. Like, that's powerful. Again, connection, you know. It's really important, man. Like, and the bits about, I'll end it here, but like the bits on the like the stage, right? That's so important because you've you know, most things, maybe you've got an insight into this that you can share with us, but like the reason people are acting out or behaving in a certain way that I've sort of realised recently is it's probably a fear-based reaction. It's an emotional reaction and it's fear. They fight because they're fearful, yeah? So getting up on stage and talking to people with a fear, that's probably the first time in their life that those people have ever overcome a fear emotion to do it. And you've gave them that platform. So when fear comes up from again, maybe that little bit has changed where they go, well, I got through it then and it was all right. Maybe it's going to be all right now. Maybe I won't react that way because I know I did it then and I can do it again. Or maybe I'll speak to Pal, or maybe I'll speak to someone else I've collaborated with.
And that's the point, isn't it? Like, it's all right to have fear. Yeah, they recognise it's good to have fear because you can grow when you're in that kind of zone. But actually, you can go down a good route, a productive route with it, rather than a route which might not have been. So one thing I did want to ask you as well, you said about them getting up there in their suits and all that kind of stuff. I'm guessing these lads didn't turn up to that studio in suits and stuff. So I guess it's like this taking pride and stuff, which they've learned from you.
It's like, I was invited to do public speaking in Nottingham, yeah, and it was nerve-wracking. We was in an auditorium, and I'd never spoken in front of it. I didn't have no script or nothing. I just went, I ended up rambling on for about 20 minutes, but like, the feedback was amazing. I was like, wow, I'd done something that I was so nervous to do and got such great feedback. And then I got invited to come the year after, and in my head I thought, now I'm a bit more established. I'm thinking, can I bring some young people? Yeah, and he was like, oh yeah, definitely. I was like, so how long do I have? Because they wanted me to perform as well. So I was like, how long do I have? And he was just like, 10, maybe 15 minutes. I'm like, wicked. So I'm like, so if I'm being invited to speak on behalf of 21 Up Movement, can they speak on behalf of 21 Up Movement as well? And he was like, yeah, definitely 100%. So I'm thinking, yes. I selected a few people. We've gone up there. One of them, me and him went suit shopping because he didn't have a suit. Do you know what I mean? So then I said, how you feeling? Like, he tried on his suit. I said, how you feeling? He was just like, can't lie, I'm feeling good. Like, and I was just like, yeah. But when you put on a suit, like, that's one of 21 Up slogans. We turn tracksuits into suits and ties.
That's it, man.
Yeah, because when you put on a suit as a young person, like, it makes you feel different. And my young, I can't even call him my young person no more. He's director, Usman. When he put on a suit, it's an amazing feeling because people are just reaching out who wouldn't normally talk to me. Like, people say, oh, you're right. And people have a different energy towards you. And that is powerful, to give that feeling to every young person out there. I've taken young people to conference. If I get invited to a conference, I'm coming with young people. We're going to be the best dressed in the room because I want them to know what that feels like. And it's powerful. And then I've been to other events where young people have come with us and they're doing public speaking. I was struggling with the whole funding side of it. And Usman come up with the idea to create a magazine for 21 Up Movement. So we created a magazine, 21-page magazine with all of the stuff that we've done. And you can actually get that on 21 Up Movement's website. And it's like, all of this stuff is just, it's been a tough journey.
Yeah,
and people
man.
say, why are you so passionate about what you do? And do you want me to be honest with you?
Absolutely.
A lot of the work that I've done over the past 2 years, like, it's been like I've been paid next to peanuts. Yeah. So coming out of construction where I was on good income, yeah, to going into what I do now. So I did a lot of it for free. So I took a big financial setback. Like, my financial stability just it plummeted. But supporting young people and being able to build rapport and build a relationship with them, yeah, it makes me feel like a big brother. Do you get what I mean? I'll be so honest, yeah, that the whole situation with my little brothers, that broke me. That broke me to a point where they're just living their life somewhere else, 19 and 21 years old, yeah, and like, I'm still burning. Do you get where I'm coming from? So like, if I'm mentoring a 12-year-old, if I'm mentoring a 15-year-old or 18-year-old, like, I don't see them as just mentees. Do you know where I'm coming from? I see them as like little brothers. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Sorry. Okay.
No, mate, you go for it. It's cool. It's cool.
It's just like,
Man.
That's why I try so hard. I'm coming from. That's why people say, "Oh yeah, he's this one. He ain't gonna listen," or "Oh, why don't you just cut ties with this one?" Da 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 da. It's because if I was a big brother and that was my little brother, I wouldn't do that. You can't just quit on your family. You know what I'm saying? I see them as they're not just people I want to support. I get people from the council saying to me, "Oh yeah, but what's the end goal once you've mentored them?" Like I said, yeah, but if I mentor someone, it's not just I mentor them. It's like I've got my own organisation. I said now I'm a mentor in schools. Now I'm doing presentations and workshops in schools. These schools didn't even want to know me. Now I started something on my own. All of a sudden, oh yeah, let's get Perry in. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now I'm a mentor, yeah, and now I promote all of the stuff that I do outside of schools. Do you understand where I'm coming from? I've got a fundraiser coming up on the 27th. It's a mud run. I want to do something different. So I did organised a mud run where primary school students can do it and secondary school students can do it. So there's 2 instructors. And it's in collaboration with Nuclear Races. But it's like I've had young people ring me up and say, my friends want to go out on a ride out, yeah, and I've been living such a positive lifestyle that I don't know what to do. They're my good friends. I'm just like, you know what you got to do? You got to make a decision, and you got to take that on, wear that, say it with chest. If you're gonna make that decision, know the consequences. And then I clapped. Yeah, I said that's the sound of the hammer. The judge, 25 years. How do you feel? You know.
I think it's important. I'm going to stop you. Sorry. For anyone that doesn't know what a ride out is, can you just
Oh
explain
yeah.
it?
Sorry. You know, like when you go to like a enemy's estate.
It's normally gang related, right?
Yeah, gang related. Yeah. So I don't know. You fill up a car and then you go there with weapons and then you try and catch your enemy slipping, ops or enemies, etc.
Ops territory, yeah.
Yeah. So you go try to catch them slipping, or someone does something to you and then you're trying to get them back, and whatnot. And then he rang me and said, what should I do? I said, listen, like, you need to inspire your friends. I said, if they're stuck in their ways, I said, bring them involved. Bring them to a session. Let me chat to them. When I was there. And that started to happen to a point where a young person came to the studio, he was still carrying, and I'm like, look, I can't have you associated with anything I'm doing. I was like, show me that you really, like, I said, anyone coming to 21 Up movement and getting involved, I said, I need to know that you really mean it, you know? And I said, I want to guide you, I want to help you, let me do that. But I can't help you unless you're willing to help yourself, yeah? And I said, if you're carrying, I said, give it up, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I did, we organised it, I rang up my friend, who was an ex-prison officer. I said, listen, someone wants to give him a machete. I said, can you give me a lift? Can you come with me, kind of thing? And we went to a certain location, and like the guy pulled out a massive machete. It was about this long. I said, where is it then? And it's just gone like that. He's just gone like that and pulled it out of his trousers. I was like, I couldn't believe it. The first thing that come out of my mind is, I looked at it, I said, what are you going to do with this? I said, is this even an effective form of defence? You've got to pull it out of your trousers, you've got to pull the sheath off, then you've got to try and swing it. I was like, what the hell is that? It's an intimidation tactic. I said, well, what if the person isn't intimidated? Or what if they pull out something bigger or pull out something the same side? Then what? He goes, well, then you just crash in the middle and you got to do what you got to do. I'm like, what do you mean? So why don't you just run? Oh yeah, but you can't run forever. I'm thinking, is this? I wanted to understand the mentality of young people carrying weapons. That's what I wanted to do. Man. Oh yeah, but everyone's carrying them, and the police ain't got your back. The bystanders are too scared to get stabbed, so they haven't got your back either. What, you're gonna get robbed at knife point 3-4 times, and like that's gonna be your life. And I'm just like, I was there trying to understand it. So now my main aim is to try and just infect every young person's mind with positivity and growth, and just to know you can be whatever you want to be and whatever you put your mind to. Because there's something you said, knowledge is power.
Yeah, man.
Knowledge is only power if you use that knowledge to the best of your ability. If you, like, the way I see it, yeah, knowledge is power, but learning into knowledge is a waste of time. Yeah. all that research I've done for a good 10 years, I didn't apply it. So learning into knowledge is a waste of time. Learning into action, that's a game changer.
Totally.
'Cause when you've got all of that knowledge, if you don't apply it, what's the point of having it?
Yeah, spot on. I'll tell you what as well. That what's really important, I think, here is when the lad got in touch and he was like, "I'm thinking of doing this. What should I do?" You didn't say don't do it. It was the fact that you're like, "I'm putting this in his court to make that right decision based on what he's learned from me and the others around." And then he obviously made a good call, which is great, and that's really important because an authoritative figure wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
And you're giving people options to do that and grow, and I think that's why it's just so incredible.
You mentioned something earlier in your story, because I was one of those rebellious kids acting out of class, misunderstood, yeah? And you're exactly right. Because if you'd have told that kid to add it in, there's no way he's doing it. Doesn't matter what relationship you got, there's just no way he's doing it. The fact's like you gave him a choice, but because he sees the way that you live your life, he's got a role model and he knows there's a way out. That's the difference. He knows there's a way out if he wants it, you know. I think it's, I wanted to tap into something there because I got a bit emotional, and someone see me through my dark days, yeah, and they've mentored me for 3 years in recovery. And I met him last week and he said it's the most beautiful journey of his life. And I wanted to just mention something that you said there, because he said this to me. I'm quite all right in my life now. It's not about money, yeah. He said, that's worth £10 million to me, seeing you like that. And that's what you're getting, you know. And so when you get that first guy might get do you know what, someone might start their own business or something that you've done, that's come from you, and that's like you're filling yourself up. Do you get what I mean? You like, you know, wanting to do something for no money or little money, that's tough because you've got a family, but actually you're also a millionaire inside. You ain't got it in notes, but you got it in your heart, you know. And that's what this guy has got, and that's what I'm getting today, because he's passed that on to me. So I'm getting filled up, not by cash, but by love. And it's so
100%.
important.
And what you get by that as well, mate, is like as you get older and whatever else, you've got a lot of people that are going to look after you as well, isn't it? It's wicked, man. It's like you've got this massive, it is a movement, isn't it? That's the beautiful
100%.
thing. And there's always going to be people there to help you as well. Like, there's going to be people for Ben, people for me. And it might be that one day it's me talking to somebody or you mentoring someone. One day we need help as well, don't we? It's,
100%.
We totally do. And some of those lads will be there for you. And that's the other beautiful thing. It's the two-way thing, isn't it? It's the two-way thing. And I think on that, what I'd want to ask now is, what's the future, mate? What's the future for 21 Up? Where's it going? It seems to be just an incredible organisation right now, and there's plenty to come, I'm sure.
It's like I do mentoring programs in schools. Bearing in mind, schools didn't want to know me. Now I'm working in multiple schools. Do you understand where I'm coming from? As a mentor. So for that, I'm proud. It's like I took 20 review forms and I calculated all of the different positives and negatives, like there were yes and no answers. And out of 160, I think it was, no, 120, it was just 20, 0, 20, 0, 20, 0. And there was this one at the end where it said no. So it was just like, do you want to get involved in more of what 21 Up movement has to offer? And then 19 said yes, and 1 said no. That was the only person that said no. And then when I delivered my first presentation, the figures with that was crazy. And on the form, or the review form, it was at a 50. When asked, do you think young people will benefit from this presentation? Every single one said yes. So 50 of them out of 50 all said yes. And I was nervous.
Yeah.
I'd never put together a presentation or a PowerPoint. Again, I had to research, I had to YouTube, I had to put a presentation. I had to get one of my old teachers. The first school I went into, I'm sitting there in the mentoring room. I'm thinking, I was so gassed. I'd done a little video and whatnot. I posted it. I was just like, yeah, they said this and that. And I was like, look at me now. I'm a member of staff. I was so excited. I was like, so proud. It was a proud moment.
Yeah, man.
As I'm sitting there, there was this shadow keep walking past the door, yeah. These eyes, you know when the window's kind of like blocked out, but then there was this little gap. And this same person kept walking past. And I was thinking to myself, who's this person there? And then when it was break time, yeah, someone came in the room and he kind of peeked his head in the room and he went, Perry. Yeah, and it was a deputy head that was in my secondary school, and he was the headmaster of that school. And I'm like, what? Like, and it was just like, it was like a whole full circle.
Yeah.
You know? Because then I called him by his second name, and then he was like, you don't have to call me that no more. And it was just like, wow. So then now what I want to do is, people are giving me opportunities. Like today, you guys, big shout out to you guys for giving me this opportunity to be here. I'm so grateful. When people give me opportunities for what I've done with 21 Up Movement, I then take that as an opportunity for me to create more opportunities for young people. So every time I'm given one opportunity for me, I then try and create 10 opportunities for young people. So like when I started to go to business networking events to promote 21 Up Movement, it got to a point where I told my story once, and out of 20 people there, business owners, directors, CEOs, they gave me a round of applause. One of them said, "God, no one gets a round of applause." That's what they said. So in my head, I thought, right, I've said all this stuff about 21 Up and all this stuff that I've done. I'm thinking, how do I match that? I mean, how do I outdo that? So then what I thought was, I spoke to some of the young people. They had kind of put their own business together. I said, look, I've got an amazing idea, yeah? I was like, let me bring you to a business networking event. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, one thing though, you all got to wear suits, and it starts at about 7:30. They're like, in the morning. Some of these kids lived in Colchester. They're having to come to Brentwood. They woke up 4 a.m. in the morning, got on the train. Some of them 16, 17, and 18, yeah? And like, it was funny. They said they walked into the room and they felt like aliens. There was about 20 people in the room. They'd done their pitch. Like, they were powerful. I was so proud. I was thinking, yeah, like, it's those moments, yeah, where you give young people an opportunity to feel like you can become someone, you know? And just sometimes an opportunity can be life-changing. I didn't get given none of them opportunities, you know? And having a positive role model, yeah, or a positive big brother figure, or a positive father figure, or uncle, I don't care what it is, just someone to look up to, that can be life-changing. So if I can be the person I needed as a young person to the young people that I work with, happy days. So it's just that for the future, it's like I want to start bringing young people into schools to tell their stories, and bring young people onto podcasts, and start my own podcast and have young people have the opportunity to be presenters, and that just for them to feel like significant, you know? I feel like they can contribute to society, you know? And I feel like that is powerful. I create more opportunities for myself when I create opportunities for others, you know?
And it's important, like, that you share that. So me and Chris have been talking about prevention. Quite often in life now, we're looking at, like, trying to sort out the issue here. Mental health, struggle with mental health services, gambling harm, alcohol harm, drug harm, violence, whatever it is. We're trying to sort it out in the system here. Actually, you're starting right at the root cause. That might not put so much stress here because they don't get there. I look at my journey, and would I have got there? I don't know, maybe still. But you know what? If I'd have been helped here, I might not have got there. And the cost, people look at cost, yeah? The cost that's putting on society, actually. For a little bit more spent here, the cost and the stress. The NHS is overwhelmed. It's in the papers every other week. Maybe if we'd done something here, we wouldn't be so overwhelmed there. Maybe, I don't know. But
prevention's so important. And what I love, mate, is there's actually, we found this out before, didn't we? We've both been into the same primary school recently and spoken to their kids. How weird is that? Like, we found this out. And but what I like is you're doing that with younger kids. That was a primary school thing. And I don't know, but when you started the 21 Up movement, were you thinking I'll be talking to kids that young, or was it older? I mean, it's amazing what's happening here.
It was a goals and aspirations talk, what I did with primary school. And I was asked by the teacher, could you do one? Like, we see all the amazing work that you do on social media. I was like, yeah, I'd love to do one. And one of my sons is in year 6 and my other son's in year 4. But the Goals and Aspiration Assembly was for year 5 and 6. So I've asked the teacher, can my son in year 4 sit in on the assembly? Because obviously his dad's coming in to do an assembly. Like, it'd be good for him to be there. It was like, is he going to benefit from it? I was just like, yeah, it'd be a good opportunity for him. It was like, well, if you want him in the assembly, maybe you could do an assembly for year 5 and 6 with one of your sons, and then you could do year 3 and 4 with your other son. And I'm like, oh yeah. In my head, I thought, what am I going to say to year 3 and 4? I was thinking, Yeah, why not? So then literally I just tailored one assembly to fit the criteria of year 5 and 6, like the transition to secondary school, etc. And then one for them. Do you know where I'm coming from? And it was powerful. My son's come out of school like, oh my God, the kid said that was the best assembly and it was just, I loved it. You know,
Yeah, man.
that it's just inspiring. I get a kick out of people feeling like they can achieve anything. There was this one guy that stood out, this one young person that stood out, and he was dressed as a mechanic. Yeah. And I said, so, what do you want? He had his hand up. I said, so what do you want to be? And he goes, I want to be a mechanic. I thought, I'm going to challenge him. He's only young. I thought, I'm going to challenge him. I was like, that's very unique. I was just like, how come you want to be a mechanic? He goes, I don't know. I was just like, okay. I was like, you do know. I was like, you know, trust me. I'm talking to an 8-year-old. Yeah. And like, he might have been 9. He goes to me, he goes, I can't think. I was just like, okay. There is something that inspires you about cars. I said, which favourite car? And he goes, Mercedes. I was thinking, okay, there we go. I was just like, what Mercedes though? And he was like, an AMG. And he said the exact model of the car, yeah. And I was just like, now that's why you want to be a mechanic, because of your love for cars. I said, right, everyone put their hands up who knows what car he just mentioned. No one put their hand up. And I was like, see? I was like, you just got to dig deeper and you'll figure it out, you know? And that helping young people do some soul searching early on, like the early intervention, powerful, because then they don't just drift around in life. I say to young people, if you needed to get to the other side of the UK, how would you get there? They're like, I don't know, I just put in the sat nav. I said, so you'll plan your journey, right? I said, if you needed to get there without planning your journey, I said, how are you going to get there? Oh, it'd take me days, maybe weeks. I said, well, there you go then. I said, write down your goals, plan your journey, plan your vision, dig deep. I said, you go and get there. They're like, yeah. I said, so how would you get this? I said, listen, yeah. I said, do some research. I said, there's a method called the RPM method, yeah? Results, purpose, a map, massive action plan. I said, what results do you want? Yeah. Why do you want them though? What's the purpose? Why do you want them? How's it going to make you feel when you achieve these results? I said, you need to understand your why. I said, once you understand what results you want and you understand why you want them, I said, all you got to do now is how am I going to get it? I said, you know how you're going to get it. I said, you just got to sit down and think about it. I said, then you create your map. Yeah. I said, if you was to write 50 ways, yeah, how to achieve that one goal, I said, even just 20, I said, it always maps out, yeah, that 20th idea can make you become a millionaire, the most successful person in the world. But I said, if you don't write down those hows, so you're just going to float around thinking, what are we going to do next? Might be job hopping. I said, trust me. I said, you got this. I said, I believe in you. And that's all it takes. It's for someone to believe in you. When someone believes in you, yeah, you can then start to believe in yourself, you know? And it's powerful.
That is powerful. Because until I met this man here, no one believed that I was ever going to get clean. I couldn't believe it myself to do it, but he gave me the tools because he said to me, you can do it. Let's go to meetings. Let's talk about it. But I also believed him because he'd done it. And there's a difference. Someone else says it to me. You get the best coaches in the world. They ain't sat in my shoes. They can tell me I can do it, but I don't believe them. The difference is with you, when you're saying this to people, they can believe it.
Yeah.
Because you've lived it, yeah? Like, it's so powerful. Lived experience. We talk about lived experience a lot, don't we? Lived experience is so important in the world. It's so important that people should come on our podcast and share their experience, because people will relate. People will say, I was that guy. I am that guy.
I want to be that guy.
And I want to be what he's got. You know, I want to end result is I want to be that guy. It might not be create a brand 21 up because you've done extreme and gone through a lot. Like, it may just be I go to work and have a family and live a productive life, and that's all right as well for a lot of, you know, that's all I really want in life. You know, I am where I am because, like, it's gone a bit wild, but reality is I just want to be normal, like, in terms of what I perceive as normal. You know, maybe someone else out there might say, do you know what? I'm going to give my machete up and I'm just going to go and work, and I'm going to have a lovely wife, 2 kids, and I'm just going to be all right in life. So it's really, like, I've loved it, man. I've absolutely loved it, honestly. Like, I've got a lot from it myself. Like, that's the truth. It's so, yeah, it's just, like, I'm just like, I'm sitting here going, yeah. Yeah, I just get what I really get the identification with is that poor little 8-year-old Ben. And I look back in poor, and I don't mean it in that way, but like, no one ever asked me. I shared last night. I've done an NA share last night, main share, yeah. So, you know, when you're talking about going on stage, like that's our moment, do a main share, right? And without knowing your story full, because I only looked up this morning because I've got ADHD, I shared this last night. No one through my life until I arrived at NA and AA asked me actually how I am and why I do the stuff I do. And the honest truth is I didn't know. And I've done some work and now I know why I behave in a way. And I can do something about it because I've got knowledge. I've got knowledge how Ben works. So that comes up, I go, I'm going to, and, it could be simple stuff like with me, but like, someone says something, I get fearful. So what happens is I react angrily or I don't say anything. Now I've got the ability to go, let's have a conversation about that.
You know what that is?
It don't sit right for me.
It's passive aggressive. So it's just like there's 3 stages. It's like you got passive, which you was just explaining, where you don't say nothing. And then you got aggressive, where you just explode.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're passive for too long, that's when the explosion of aggression comes out. Whereas the middle ground is to be assertive.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, communicate it. Yeah. That's how you build, that's how you work with someone, you know? And I was passive aggressive, you know? So I get it. I understand. So the way you're talking about being, you either say nothing or you don't say nothing, when now you come into contact with somebody that feels that exact same way, you're going to be like, look, I get it. And this is the methods. These are the strategies. You can guide them and you can give them strategies on how to overcome that. Do you know where I'm coming from?
So like one of the things that I had a conversation with last night was like empathy, you know. What I found is a lot of people say I understand, but they don't. But when they empathise with me, like that's where I get connection. You know, when someone says, I can feel you, I've been there. And I've done this, or even just listen. So I see a lot of empathy, in your story. The other thing I've really identified with is love. So my partner died in September last year, and I was right there at the end, right?
I'm sorry to hear that.
She said to me right at the end, and it's like pinged me today. I nearly cried when you said it, because she said these 2 things that are so powerful. She said, the most angry person in the room needs the most love, Ben. And that's so, like, it's so powerful. I'm 9 times out of 10 the most angry person in a room, like at work or other areas, yeah. But I need the most love because I've got stuff in my past. But I'm also probably I'm the highest achiever as well. Because the same thing that drives the anger drives the achievement. You know, what you've just talked about in your story there is you've given people the tools to go from anger to achievement with the same passion and frustration and drive. You've took them from here, where I was, to over here. Whether that's public speaking, whether that's going to an event, whether that's just being a person that goes to work. That's what you've done, and that's so important. We don't get taught that at school. We get taught in a curriculum, and that's it. We don't get taught life experiences. And if we haven't got that from home, you know, and sometimes even from home's hard, but a lot of people in the system haven't had that home upbringing, yeah? So they've not been able to develop it. You know, you mentioned about a father. My father walked out on me at 1 year old, right? When my daughter came along, I was absolutely clueless. Didn't have those skills. Not that my mum ain't done my mum's done an amazing job. Absolute amazing. But she's my mum. She's got different skills to her dad.
100%.
I went to I don't know whether you've done it, but I've done the parenting course at NHS 13 weeks. I then done another course, yeah, that told me how to be a parent. You know, I found that very humiliating at like 29, right? But you know what? When my daughter rings me up today, she has a conversation with me, and I know where she's at because I can identify it and I go, okay. And then I'm a little bit more subtle. And eventually it comes out. Sometimes it might take 4 weeks, but we get there. Do you know what I mean? We get there. So it's really, really, honestly, mate, like, it's incredible, really. It is. Like, I'm sitting here going, yeah, I would have loved to bump in. I'm putting myself in. I'd have loved to bump in to you when I was 13, 14. I got kicked out of school year 9, right, for serving up drugs. I got sent to a Culver house in Ockenden that's now got flats in it, thankfully, because it's basically where all the permanently excluded kids went. So I learned more at that school about drugs, violent crime, fraud than I could have anywhere else, better than any other place for a breeding ground, you know. And then they wondered why they had, instead of that one trouble card, they had 50 in the barra, because they put all the people in the barra to that one school, and we all shared ideas. By 16, I had people, my mates, knew how to do credit card fraud in the ATMs. 16! Do you know what I mean? Because they rang around with 20s. But it weren't just them there. They've shared it with 8 other people. So 8 other people are on it. You've got 8 people doing the same thing. Yeah? One says about, talking about drinks. Like, I look back at drinks. I had a laugh yesterday, right? Because snake bite was a thing. I don't know, how old are you? How old are you?
33.
So I'm 37, you're 40.
42, all right, man.
Right? But like snake bite was a big thing, yeah? But like, because I remember the geezer coming to school, like, I was about 40. He said, what are you drinking that for? And I was like, on the old Stellas and Coronas, you know what I mean? He's like, nah, mate, bang that out of the way, bit of Lambrini, bit of cider, bit of WKD, stick a bit of blackcurrant in top because it'll taste absolutely rank, right? But he was like, off your tit job. Bang, like, do you know what I mean? Where did you find that from? Olders. Now he's got the whole, we're all going for lunch. We're all drinking snake bites. 2 pints of snake bite at 14. We're all fucked. They were uncontrollable.
Do you know what, though? This is, like, amazing because what you're doing, Perry, is, like, you're getting people together to kind of share the right stuff and grow in the right way. And it's hard work to get the people there. But what Ben was just sharing there, it just shows that it works the other way as well. It works in the way that somebody comes and says, do this, and then they go that way. And actually, it might not be the right way. And it seems to be that that's a lot easier to go that way because actually not doing the right thing is often easier to do than actually decide to do the right thing, which can take a bit more hard work, but is much more valuable in the end, I reckon. But I did have a question I just thought of, actually, if you have an answer. Don't know if you do or you don't, but let's ask. So you're a mentor nowadays. People come and talk to you and get a lot from you. Any point in your life as you were growing up, because I know you had the difficult times, but did you meet anyone who you thought, that's the kind of guy I would be, that would be my mentor kind of thing?
It's crazy, right? So, I said I was in foster care. I was really, really, really close with my foster care because I was with her for just over 2 years. I used to call her my gran. She was called Gran. And I was like a member of the family. And even after I went home, I'd still go and visit her. My mum would take me to visit her, etc. Like, big shout out to my mum because without my mum's like my rock. Like, I wouldn't be able to deal with all of my mental health today if she wasn't supporting me because sometimes you can feel overwhelmed. And I get hypomania phases where I'm like just like energetic and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So many ideas, yeah. Like when I done my documentary, like my energy levels is just like sky high, and I'm just posting constantly on all forms of social media, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, everywhere, yeah. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I'll get overwhelmed to a point where I want to deactivate everything.
Yep.
I don't want no one to know who I am. I get close to thinking I'm going to go and get a job.
Mate, we're laughing because we get this, man. We get this.
But it's like, my gran passed away in 2021. Yeah. And a member of the family told me. And then I've gone to the hospital. I've seen her and whatnot. And I was like, oh, it's Perry. Da, 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 da. And then I was speaking to her. She goes, oh, how are you? Da, 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 da. And I was just like, I even took my kids to meet her at the place where she was staying in Plaster. And it's tough because when I went to her funeral, I said to the family, I said, can I perform? These were COVID times. So it was just like, you was only allowed a certain amount of people at the funeral. I was like, can I perform? They was like, what do you want to perform? I was just like, I'll just write a whole song. I'll write a whole song specifically to fit the narrative kind of thing. And I did. I wrote a song called Sleep and I performed it. Yeah. And it was the most nerve-wracking thing. I'd never performed live before. Yeah. Especially at a funeral when the emotions are really high, And one of my grandchildren reached out to me and was just like, you're really good. Like, it's just like, you're wasted potential. And then it's like, so what do you want to do? What are you doing now? Like, I told him I'm working in construction. I'm trying to be a youth worker. I'm trying to start an organisation. It's just that. So why haven't you? He's like, you can do that. You can do this and you can do that and you can do this. when I say, yeah, I would not be where I am today and have achieved what I've achieved without him. Because he pushed and pushed and pushed. You need to do this, you need to do that. And if you can do this, you can do that. And I did everything he told me to do. I was like, why do you believe in me so much? You believe in me more than I believe in me. Do you know where I'm coming from? He goes, yeah, but the more I believe in you, the more you believe in yourself. And then I just started to achieve. And then people start reaching out. Oh, Pell, you need to do this. If you want to get into schools, become a safeguarding lead. If you need to get into schools, get your own DBS. If you need to get into schools, do this course, do that course. And I'm thinking, wow. Yeah, and then next thing you know, I'm having dinner on top table with the mayor of my area, and I'm meeting with MPs, and I'm going to Parliament, and I'm thinking like, yo. But then where he would keep pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, and then I'd get them down days where I get depressed, and he'd be like, yo, P, he goes, just take yourself back to the start. Could you have imagined yourself in Parliament? Could you have imagined yourself in school? Could you have imagined yourself with your own clothing brand? Could you have imagined yourself doing any of this stuff? I was like, no. He goes, exactly. He goes, so when you get them down days, think of how far you've come, because that's what I forget to do. Because I'm not at level 50, I forget I'm on level 25 and I've come all those levels. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So when people tell me, they feel like a failure, and what if they try? I said, listen, if you're ever going to get good at anything, you got to be prepared to fail it and be crap at it. Because I said, you could fail 50 times trying to achieve the same thing, but I said the first time you fail, and the 50th time you fail, I said the 50th time you fail is going to be 50 times better than your first failure. I said that right there is growth, that's progression. I said, and that's what we love. I said, if you grow, I grow. If you progress, I progress. If you do well, I've done well. I said, I don't win unless you win. Like, yeah, but how can you live your life like that? I said, because nobody did that for me. Do you know where I'm coming from? Yeah, mentors are powerful, because you could be 20 and your mentor's 30. Your 30-year-old mentor could be 40. Your 40-year-old, the 40-year-old mentor might have a mentor that's 60, and the 60-year-old mentor could have had a mentor that was 85. Different phases of life. You need somebody with that kind of experience for that phase. It's like parenthood. You can have terrible 2s and naughty 3s, etc. But once they get to 9, 10, like, you don't know how to parent them kind of children. And when they're teenagers, they change. You need a parent mentor to kind of guide you. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Totally, mate.
You just need, it's like lived experience again, but in the parenting world or in the professional world, the career world. Do you know where I'm coming from? Advice, empowering each other. That's powerful. What we're doing now, just empowering each other, having the conversation, we're learning from each other, and we're empowering everyone who's watching.
So, Perry, thanks for coming in today. I've absolutely enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. But I know there's some stuff that you may want to do in the future, because we touched on it earlier. So if there was one thing that you'd like to do but you currently can't, that may need some help, over to you.
So it's just like, I want more opportunities to get into more schools. I don't care where they are. I've got a network as far as Manchester, Birmingham, Nottingham. It's just like, but I want to build my own network and family within my own area. So the way I need support is, I don't want no handouts. I don't want a bring-in. I have a lot to offer. My organisation, the young people I come with, they're strong speakers. I've created some real young leaders. And like, so I've got a brand. 21. I'm wearing a 21 Up tracksuit at the moment. I've got a t-shirt. So it's just like, the reason I created the brand was to fund my project, so I didn't have to apply for government funding. So if you can go on my website, there's also the digital copy of my magazine on the website. And if you can buy a tracksuit, if you want to buy a snapback, you get to give a donation, but you get something in return, you know? And that is powerful. So it's not just, can you make a donation? You get something back, and you get to wear the logo like a badge of honor. It's not just a me thing. Do you know where I'm coming from? 21 Up movement is for everybody. It's for everyone. And we're talking about mental health, and sometimes I struggle to ask for support. I struggle to keep posting online. Can you make donations? Can you buy my hats? Can you buy this? Can you support us doing this? I get to a point where I'm like, why do people want to support me? Who am I? Why would they want? But I'm quite happy to support everyone's children. You know where I'm coming from? You know what I mean? So, like, help me help you guys, you know? And yeah, just buy a snapback.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And wear it with your suit, yeah?
Oh yeah, suit and a snapback always. If
the
I'm
way
ever
to do
wearing a suit, yeah, I wore a snapback in Parliament, yeah, and they said to me, "What's with the cap, Perry?" And I'm like, "Listen, it all began from the caps, man." I said, without the caps, I wouldn't have been able to fund anything. You know,
Amazing.
Oh, you can follow me on social media at 21 Up Movement. That's on TikTok. That's on YouTube. That's also on Instagram, and the website is www.21upmovement.com.
Thank you, Perry, for coming on today. It's been an absolute powerful listening. For anyone that's out there that's either struggling with mental health, under 21 or even over 21, reach out to the Guy and Light podcast or Perry's socials that will also be in the video below. So thank you very much for coming on, Perry.
Thank you. It's been an absolute honour, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And apologise for the tears, but
don't apologise.
Feel that
man.
When you can be vulnerable, that's the true sign of real strength. You know.
With you, man. With you. Thank you so much for coming on. I've loved it.
Thank you.
Let's do it again sometime.
Big shout out to my mum, because without her, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing.
As we wrap up another amazing and inspiring episode of The Guiding Light, remember, although your journey is unique, you most certainly are not alone. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore, reach out please across our socials or via our website www.theguidinglight.co.uk. Until next time, take care of yourself.